Everyone loves a cheeky monkey. Playful, social, and intelligent. Primates are fun and fascinating to watch. But there is a greater draw, perhaps because they bring out the inner primate in us. Through Africa, South America, and Asia, our wild cousins are far more diverse than you might think. Ever-adaptable masters of survival. We enjoy watching their lives, but in doing so, we might learn a little bit about ourselves. Deep in the heart of Africa lives a close-knit family, and today is special. A new member joins the Eastern Lowland Gorilla Clan. Like a human baby, the tiny primate curiously reaches out, exploring with its hands. Totally dependent on his mother's care. Proud family members gather, all eager to get a glimpse of their new sibling. In their society, as in ours, babies have great appeal. They all want to greet the new arrival. Everyone seems deep in thought. Their faces are almost a reflection of our own. Though the troop leader, the silverback male, seems agitated, it's his job to protect the family, and they are never more vulnerable than with a child. The leopard, a deadly jungle hunter. Huge and powerful, gorillas are almost impervious to predation, unless they are very young. The leopard is a master of stealth. But the silverback spots its track. The display threat. He advertises his immense strength, a warning to intimidate any foe. And it works. In this way, the gentle giants can avoid direct conflict most of the time. The biggest of primates, he stands as tall as a man and weighs more than 150 kilograms. He's truly the king of the jungle. Under his watchful eye, the family can relax. It's tiring being the center of attention. The gorilla's kingdom is the dense, dark tangle of rainforest that stretches across much of Central Africa. This is where our first primate ancestors evolved, and it remains a monkey mecca to this day. The canopy is alive with their calls and the patter of their distinctly primate paws. More than 20 species of monkey share the gorilla's homeland. Because there are so many living in the same area, each sports its own unique markings, making it easier to recognize their own kind. The bold black and white of the colobus contrasts with the earthy browns of agile mangabes. The mustached monkey, and the most spectacular mandrill. Its smaller cousins, the drills, are not as dramatic, but still watched over by one huge dominant male. Genetics suggest primates appeared just before the demise of the dinosaurs, around 85 million years ago. Though the oldest fossil, from northern Africa, is only 55 million years old. From here, they spread around the world. No one is too sure how primates reached South America. During a time of shifting continents, they somehow made it from Africa to South America, and here they thrived and diverged. There are now around 160 species, again all recognized by an extraordinary array of colorful design. Known as the New World monkeys, all have unique nostrils that open to the sides, instead of straight down like everywhere else. The tiny species like cotton-top tamarins give an idea of what our earliest ancestors might have looked like. Their bird-like chirps allow the group to stay in contact so that no one gets lost in dense jungle. Having good communication and friends to watch your back is very useful. There are many dangers in the rainforest. When it comes to voices, there is one clear champ. Red howler monkeys use their vocal gifts to proclaim their territory and keep their clan together. The New World monkeys made the most of their vast new home, but primates from Africa also spread throughout Europe and Asia. One of the weirdest of our distant cousins still lives in the lush vegetation of Borneo. This rainforest is home to a very unusual and distinctive-looking primate, found here and nowhere else. The honking hooter is a male proboscis monkey. His gruff calls unite and reassure his group. His harem of half a dozen females and their young always stay close in the canopy. To enhance the leader's calls, he has the biggest nose. One of his females has an infant, just a few weeks old. She's dependent on the bigger male to keep her safe, though he spends most of his time munching leaves. They are not the only primates enjoying the canopy. The long-tailed or crab-eating macaques have a broader diet than the proboscis and aren't so dependent on the trees, but seem to enjoy the larger monkeys' company, though sometimes they seem to enjoy it a little too much. The proboscis spend a lot of time grooming each other. A young macaque watches intently. She seems fascinated by the little baby. For the first few months of life, the baby will cling to its mother's side. There is a long drop, and she doesn't yet have the head for heights. The monkey plucks up the courage to make its move. Mum's not keen on passing her baby around. This sort of mixed species interaction is extremely rare, though it has been witnessed in several species of primate. Being social is a family trait. Still, Dad keeps an eye on the would-be babysitter. The macaque tries squeezing itself between mother and child. Playtime's over, much to the macaque's dismay. But this is one persistent primate. It can be hard living with a monkey on your back. While the big noses of Borneo enjoy their lush mangrove, other species have adapted to much more arid environments. Bonnet macaques take advantage of the buildings of other primates, which now abandoned, offer great shelter and a vantage point to look over India's hot, dry forest. The troop can sleep up here in relative safety and warm themselves in the morning sun. This is the perfect time to groom, combing through one another's fur to remove any parasites. The females hang out together, meaning their babies have lots of playmates their own age. By playing together, they can learn how to be monkeys, climbing and foraging, and above all learning the complex hierarchy governed by communication and body language that must be observed throughout their lives. It's thought these societies first formed so that groups could better protect their resources from the competition, a key step in our own behavioral evolution as well. Warmed, spruced up, and with the babies fed, the troop go in search of breakfast. The older animals in the troop have a spectacular knowledge of their patch and know when different foods come into season. As they travel, the younger animals will learn the ropes. At the moment, the dish of the day is jackfruit. The biggest fruits grow on trees. Jackfruits are packed with sweet flesh, high in fiber, and delicious to us as well as our fellow primates. Once they've found a ripe fruit, the monkeys look shifty, wanting to keep the treasure from their neighbors. They can defend them from other troop members, but some diners are harder to turn away. They are forced to surrender the table to the next customer. Sloth bears have fiery tempers and prefer their own company, so he sits down to dine alone. The gang head home to digest what little fruit they got. The macaques are a diverse group of monkeys. Thanks to their adaptability, they are widespread in Asia. The arid open home of the bonnets contrasts with the seasonal forests of the Japanese macaque. Though they can climb like all monkeys, the macaques do a lot of foraging on the ground. In true primate style, the young are full of mischief. The little ones, too small to join in, are watched over by their mums. The social status of a mother will be handed down to her daughters and must be adhered to throughout their lives. Higher-ranking animals will eat first, hang out in the best spots, and mate with the highest-ranking males. There is so much for the little macaques to learn. Even at 5 weeks old, he's already experimenting with solid foods. Over 200 species of plants can be on the menu, so there's lots to remember. In another fortnight, he'll be wandering further from his mother's side and will be able to join in the games of the other youngsters. Summer on the mountains of Japan is a time of plenty, and the whole family seems relaxed. The Central African rainforest sits right on the equator and stays hot and productive year-round. One reason it's so rich in monkeys. But in some areas, the forest gives way to plains, and right now it's getting hot. Baboons are grassland specialists, perhaps the most adaptable of all primates. Baboons roam the plains eating everything from seeds to young antelope. Baboons have been shown to suffer from stress as a result of their complex social politics, but it doesn't seem to dampen the mood for their mischievous youngsters. The communities are based on related females who are joined by several unrelated males. Big groups are important for survival on the dangerous plains. The impala often hang around the baboons, making the most of dropped fruit. It seems like paradise here. But it has dangers of its own. This is a 3-meter, tooth-lined mother. Crocodiles lay their eggs in scooped-out nests in the sand and do their best to stand guard. There are egg thieves everywhere. Eggs are packed with protein, the perfect meal, and the monitor lizards steal as many as they can. Their antics give the brainy baboon an idea. The lizard has already opened the nest. He just has to wait until the crocodile is distracted by the thieves. And then he makes his move. Other troop members copy his lead. High risk, but high reward, though the banquet is short-lived. As the undergrowth gets thicker, other primates are less worried about their next meal. Gorillas are less predatory than baboons. But why shouldn't they be? Their forest home is a vegetarian's paradise. Though they don't spend as much time in the trees, even the huge silverback is capable of reaching the canopy to browse. The big male needs to eat around 18 kilos of food per day. His home range is spread out over 6 kilometers, so when one patch of leaves gets a bit thin, he'll still have access to fresh grazing. When the best leaves have been stripped from one area, they'll simply move to the next, and where he goes, the family follows. The baby gorilla is now hanging out with older cousins, and they follow the silverback wherever he goes. He's a strong leader, so perhaps an aspirational role model. Like the Pied Piper of primates. The troop leaders have a great accumulated knowledge of the forest, something that will rub off on the youngsters if they focus. Not surprisingly, the rainforest receives a lot of rain, and it fuels a vast network of rivers and streams. As a general rule, it's believed that many primates don't like getting their feet wet, and gorillas especially are not the best swimmers. But in this habitat, the odd paddle is hard to avoid. The little male's lucky. He gets a piggyback across. The silverback knows that if they want to get to the best food, they must cross the streams. Boldly, the little male tests the water. Older kids take a break from following Dad to play. The little male even joins in, though he does his best to avoid a dunking from an older cousin. Not everyone's as comfortable in the water. Holding onto a branch gives little security. So the hydrophobe tries an alternate route. Tapping his inner sat-nav, the silverback leads his young followers to a very special place. This clearing has been made and maintained by forest elephants, digging the wet ground to flush out minerals their bodies need. There is not much cover left, so the gorillas hold back, making sure the coast is clear. Respectfully, they wait until the giants leave. Because the elephants keep it clear of trees, the sun can reach the ground here, and in the light, tasty succulent grasses thrive. The troop fans out to make the most of this sun-kissed salad. It's not long before bellies are bulging. Suddenly, one of the females stands upright. She spotted something. Alarm spreads through the group. Little ones return to their mothers, ready for a quick escape. It's the leopard. But the gorillas keep their cool. Out in the open, the spotted cat would have little chance of stalking up on them. Nonetheless, the silverback decides it isn't worth the risk. He summons the troop. After all the excitement, it's siesta time. The silverback has the responsibility of leading his group and keeping them safe. It's tiring work. Though this should be quiet time for the troop, the young are restless. The little male gives his mother the brush off so he can play with his older siblings. But the big boys play rough, and our little male soon running back to his mother. Gorillas are not the only great apes in the jungle. The paler male that leads this pack is not a gentle leader like the silverback. He gets them to follow his lead through bullying and beating. Mothers with tiny babies flee when he goes on the warpath. Once he's made his point, the mood lightens a little. Chimpanzees are our closest living relations. They share more than 94% of our genes. This is a community dominated by aggressive males. They can be a quarter heavier than the females. After a fight, a good deal of time goes into grooming. It's a chance to kiss and make up, or at least try and win some favors to keep out of trouble in the future. The young stay close to their mothers. Time for the troop to catch up on some much-needed rest. Most chimps try to get their heads down for about 9 hours a day. There is a new baby in the heart of the group. Like humans, chimps have long maternal periods, not weaning their offspring until they are around 4 years old. There is a challenging life ahead for this little one, a life of violence and politics, but also of close family bonds. The troop's tyrant leader is a mature male, well into his 20s. He's been their leader for several years. The secret of his success lies in his allies. He has a team of henchmen who will back him up in a fight. But beating off rival males is not the only threat to his crown. Although the males lead the group, they have an obligation to the females. If the females are not happy with the food resources they are getting under his leadership, they might oust him, which means his role in defending their home patch is never done. For all their anger management issues, chimps are undoubtedly among the most socially complex of all animals. They are also undeniably one of the most intelligent. Time and time again, they showed their ability to solve a problem. In this case, bobbing for apples without getting their feet wet. In the mangroves of Borneo, proboscis monkeys take a gentler approach to life. The dominant male looks bored as he surveys his patch. But he's waiting for the tide to go out. As the seawater recedes, it exposes the tangle of mangrove roots, but also of fresh shoots growing among them. Only exposed twice a day, they are a treat the monkeys wait for. Eagerly, they make their descent. The mother seems concerned and keeps her young baby out of the way of the stampede. Soon everyone's down and stuffing their faces. Their pot bellies are huge fermentation tanks to help process their leafy diets. But to help, the male does his best to select fresher, easier to digest leaves and shoots. It's risky business coming down to earth. There are more predators, like large lizards and snakes. But there is another threat too, the rising tide. The monkeys aren't too concerned. They are good swimmers. And the male has a simple solution. Find a higher perch. No need to get his feet wet. Eventually, he finds himself surrounded by a moat. One last bite for the road, and then it really is time to go. Now they'll rest. They've got some serious digesting to do. Another troop that's not afraid to make waves are the Japanese macaques. They'll turn their hand to just about any food source. The gang heads out for a beach party. The sea washes up all sorts of treasures: seeds, seaweeds, even shellfish. And the rocks lining the beaches are coated in tasty barnacles, though trying to pry them off can be hell on the teeth. The trick is to stay just above the waterline. Others find different ways to enjoy the beach. The macaques eat just about anything they can find. Back in the African rainforest, another primate is on the move. It looks like a chimp, but appearances can be deceptive. These enigmatic animals were long considered small chimpanzees, but are in fact a distant species, the bonobo. Though superficially the same, in behavior, bonobos are the polar opposite of chimps. Chimpanzees settle everything through violence. If there is tension in the group, it's bound to lead to a fight. But when bonobos get anxious and tense, they have a different outlet. They have sex. Anything goes. Boys on girls, boys on boys, girls on girls. They even keep it in the family. These are the true kings of the swingers. Like humans, they are one of few known animals to use sex for pleasure and not just reproduction. While chimps are very male-dominated, bonobos have leading ladies. In this gentle, close-knit, tactile community, babies are cared for. Like all the great apes, they take a long time to mature. Though they mostly feed on plants, there is one trait they have in common with their two closest relatives, the chimps and human beings. They eat meat and can be surprisingly accomplished hunters. Though it's rarely observed, they can pack hunt to chase down and trap mammal prey. Is it coincidence that the fruits they drop attract doika, tiny forest antelope? Its every move is carefully monitored from above. Appearing casual, some members of the troop wander quietly into the antelope's escape path. And then the trap is sprung. The doika could easily outrun an ape, but it can't outthink it. This time, brainpower wins out. The body is shared around the group. The rainforest lives up to its name. Rain brings life to the forest, but apes don't seem to appreciate it. Even the fiery-tempered chimps grind to a halt to sit out the storm. Storms are commonplace across the tropics, and on the other side of the world, Borneo takes a drenching. More soggy primates curl up to let the rain run off. But in a heavy shower like this, it doesn't take long to become waterlogged. There are no towels in the jungle, but the proboscis have a few moves. The tropics get monsoon season with heavy rain, but that's about as bad as it gets. But in other regions, the seasons can be far more punishing. Summer is a distant memory for the Japanese macaques. Their mountainous home is draped in snow. Drinking water takes on a different appearance. And now those dexterous hands are used to dig for buried vegetation. No other monkeys have what it takes to endure this cold. Their coats have become extra thick to shut out the biting wind. Gone are the days of lush green shoots. Now even twigs and bark have to do. Despite the tough conditions, the youngsters don't lose their sense of play. After a few hours of chilly feeding, a good snowball fight will warm them up. The troop has one other trick to beat the cold. Geothermal springs bring hot water bubbling up from underground. A natural spa and the perfect place to warm up and relax. Again, the rules of hierarchy apply. The highest ranking monkeys have the best spots, submerged in the hot tub. Lower rankers cling to the edges, with body parts sticking out in the cold. Like all good saunas, this is the place for a rub-down and massage. It's pampering that soaks away the hardships of winter. Primate ingenuity at its best. There is only one other species of primate that has moved into the temperate regions of the world. Us. About 4 million years ago, our ancestors separated from the other apes, and around 200,000 years ago, the first distinctly human creatures appeared. From Africa, we went on to colonize the globe, and with profound effects on the environment. There are now 7.3 billion of us, and the number's growing fast. Amazing leaps in culture, art and technology now set us apart from our wild cousins. But our success comes at a cost. We need resources to fuel our growth. Forest is being destroyed at more than 10 million hectares per year. That, combined with hunting, is pushing primates to the brink. There are 425 species of primate, and half of them are endangered. Luckily, there are a few, but dedicated people devoted to saving our wild cousins. Some go into the last remnants of habitat to survey and study wild primates before it's too late. By building up a comprehensive knowledge of how they use their homes, what they eat, and how much space they need, researchers can better lobby to protect important areas from development. Hunting and loss of habitat result in orphaned animals. Fortunately, some find their way to rescue centres where they can be rehabilitated and sometimes even released. Primates clearly respond to human kindness, and the passion of their carers can speed them on the road to recovery. These are Western lowland gorillas. Less than 100,000 still exist, so every individual counts. But sharing their facility, another kind. A single female cross-river gorilla. She is especially important. She's one of less than 300 remaining, the rarest of apes. We are losing our wild cousins rapidly, but the passion and perseverance of conservationists might just give them a chance. Education is the key. The more people who know and care about primates, the better their chances of survival. Learning to live alongside our wild family really would be something to celebrate. And it shouldn't be too hard to connect. After all, we are not that different. Large brains, the use of fire, tools and language set us apart. But we still have other traits: hands for climbing, great coordination, good eyesight, all things we inherited from them. All things that now enable us to enjoy being human. And sometimes that means we go ape. It can feel pretty good to unleash our inner monkey.